Welcome to another episode of VGN Weekly. Members of the Virtual Grip crew will recap the previous week's races and bring us one-on-one interviews with racers, league owners, and commentators, as well as others from within the sim racing community. Please like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our broadcasts. If you are a league owner or potential sponsor and have a broadcasting need, please visit virtualgrip.net for info on how to get in touch with us. Thanks for tuning in today. Now let's go find some grip.
As the Virtual Grip Network gears up for another action-packed week of racing, let's take a quick look back at last week's race winners. Daryl Weiniger in Yesteryear Racing's Tour Modified Series. Ethan Troutman in the Red Light Racing's SK Modified Series. James Lowe in the Bootleg Racing League's Outlaw SK Modified Series. Todd Liston in the Bootleg Racing League's Late Model Series. Josh Robinson in the OBRL's Cup Series. And Kyle Kieselbach in the Maximum Velocity Racing League's ARCA Series. Now we'll take a quick break before turning things over to John Hine, who's standing by with this week's special guest, Dwayne McArthur from the OBRL.
Welcome back to VGN Weekly. I am your host, John Hine. I am joined this week by Dwayne McArthur, driver in the OBRL that we broadcast on Sunday nights right here on VGN. Dwayne's first OBRL race was on June 7th, 2020. He has 175 starts, 14 poles, 30 wins, 115 top fives, but he's still chasing that elusive championship. Dwayne, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, I'm going to jump right into this season because you are on a roll. I guess that's the only way that I can put it. You've got 4 wins this season, including 3 in a row. You race tonight. How big is the track looking for you these days?
Well, I don't think I expected to get 3 in a row. It's been feeling pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it's going to continue to 4. I think I've overachieved for the season. I've got 4 wins or 3 or 4 wins now, and I think that's probably what I expected to have for the season. But certainly been feeling pretty good. I was away for a little while, and took a little while to get my sea legs under me, but it's starting to feel pretty good out there.
Well, we watch you week in and week out, and you're one of the drivers that seem to be more patient, that you don't use your stuff up and that kind of thing. But, the success you've had this season, really the start you had, you're on par for having the most successful season that you've had to date in OBRL. You said you kind of went away, came back, got your C leagues. Did you change your approach? Did you switch manufacturers? Did you change something up there to kind of help build that success?
No, I don't think I've changed much in my approach to racing. Maybe, after, 700 starts and a couple of years of racing pretty much every night in the OBRL, I've probably got a little bit burnt out, maybe a little bit. So I've come back after a little break, a little bit energized. The product on the track and the guys on the track have been pretty inspiring. They're pretty racy. It's been kind of pushing me. I thought I came back just to be kind of casual, and almost immediately I've got the bug back, and they triggered me into really pushing myself to get back going. So as far as my approach, it feels about the same. It's just had a little bit of luck. Been running in a couple of the other series too. I came back. Primarily, I'm an Xfinity driver in this league. That's my true passion, so I came back to run that, and I decided I'd focus on some Cup this year, which is not normally the series that I focus on. So,
well, does anything transfer? Because the two cars are not quite the same, but does anything transfer? Do you learn anything running the Xfinity race earlier in the week that you can transfer over into Sunday?
Not a lot. Those cars are so different. The Xfinity car is probably the last great stock car available. Maybe the Legacy Arca as well. But, it's been quite a learning curve for this next gen car for me. Back when we ran the Gen 6, I think I ran pretty well in Cup. The Gen 7's taken a little bit of time. There's a lot less feeling, a lot less rotation. The entire car is different. The way you can turn it or not turn it under throttle, kind of the pacing of it, the tire wear, everything's just so different. I kind of never really took it serious in the past. I didn't really buy into it. I didn't like it. Thought, bah humbug to this new car, but starting to embrace it a little bit. It's the showcase of our league, and it's where everybody comes out to play, and you guys are broadcasting. So I decided, I should probably, give it a shot.
Well, good Lord, I'd hate to see what would happen if you really liked the car. It might be a warning shot across the team because part of what's neat about you OBRL, for folks that don't watch, they should. You guys follow the actual NASCAR schedule as much as possible. I know there's the road course coming up in Mexico City, but for the NASCAR guys, obviously iRacing does not have that course. You guys will go to Sao Paulo, I think, for that race. So having said that you guys even have a chase format. So now that you're locked in, does your goals change? Is it just data collection at this point, or you want to keep going for wins and maximizing everything?
Yeah, I don't know. On your first point, yeah, I think the OBRL is pretty unique, running the full NASCAR schedule the same week that the boys run it, running all the same tracks. I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a big draw. I think a lot of people come to this league for that.
Yes.
And a lot of people run that. It is fun. Previously, we used to race in the morning in the OBRL, and then we'd watch the race. And then a couple of years ago, we switched, and we got to watch the race and then run the race. There's a charm in that. It's kind of fun to watch the big boys play and then go out and try to do it yourself. So that that's a lot of fun.
I never thought about that. That's actually probably that's actually a really good point. That's yeah. Because I do the same thing. I do the same thing from the broadcast booth. I'll go watch the race during the day and see things. And, and this is a compliment to you guys, but I see you guys, a lot of the same moves, the passing on the tracks, where you got to set up the passes. And this is a tip to iRacing because, it's a sim. You see a lot of the same stuff happening when we watch you guys Sunday nights. That is really cool.
Yeah, when we used to run in the morning, we would run and we'd race and then we'd watch the race, and not everything's transferable. Obviously, their tires are different than our tire model, but you'd see something and be like, man, I wish I could run the race over again and maybe try that line, or hey, look what they did with this. And then, when we did flip it over, it was a lot more fun to watch them play. We run really tight up. Like, I mean, the races are ending and we're hopping in for practice. It's pretty tight to watch the
Yes.
race, but I found it to be a lot more enjoyable to catch the end of the race and then hop in the car, and then you're kind of as a fan you're pumped up, you're ready to go, you're in the racing mood, and then now we're in the sim. So yeah, it's pretty neat. So
Well, the one thing that's been really nice to watch with OBRL every week is you guys get massive fields. I mean, I think you guys have had 30 plus cars every week. And I mean, there's some where you've been 35, 40 deep. And I don't know how it was in the past, but these big fields, how does that play into what you do strategy wise and how you conduct yourself on the track?
yeah, I mean, the big fields have pretty much been here the entire time that I've been in the OBRL, whatever it is, since whatever you said, 2020 or something. It's fluctuated. Sometimes we've got into the 20s, and then sometimes we've had to open up, a Talladega kickoff to 50 or 60 drivers. Just, the track's big enough, let's do it.
What you did in Daytona, this year. I
That's
think.
right.
Would you start? I think we started like 52 or 54 or something like that.
And what's even more impressive, and I remember, back from being an owner and being a longtime admin, we have 4 series that run throughout the week, and they're all doing it, right? I mean, they're all 25 plus, into the 30s. I mean, we're very, very rarely into the teens. Maybe a road course in a weekday series in the middle of a season, you'll get down into the teens or something. But I mean, it's so rare. Every single night, you can hop into a race in the OBRL and you got 30 cars. I mean, 33 is the sweet spot. We've always found 30 to 35 cars is kind of the right number. There's not too many, it's not too much carnage, it's enough room to maneuver, things like that. And then full fields just, bring that immersion and that realism. I mean, we're pushing sometimes more cars than the real life guys are. So it doesn't change a whole lot, I don't think, out there. What I like is it just gives racing throughout the field. Everybody's having a good time. Everybody has somebody to race against. That's the most important thing, to me in this league, is that everybody out there is having a good time, no matter where you are. So that, we keep coming back and we can keep putting on a good show.
Yeah, I think I even put it in your guys' text. You make our job easy up in the booth, but poor Ryan, he's the one that's got the job. He can't figure out where to point the camera because there's usually like 10 battles going on through the field. But the thing about the full fields, and why I was asking about the strategy, is because if you mess up a pit stop or you get into an incident, the penalty for that is much higher. So instead of getting, in some leagues where you get 18th, place points or something like that, you're getting 30, 35th. I mean, you go down to the bottom of the list, or even on the track, if you, let's just say you early caution, you come to pit road, you speed and you go to the end of the line. Well, the end of a line for a 35 car field is a huge penalty. So, I mean, how does that ever come into the equation for you when you're behind the wheel?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many scenarios where the size of the field matters. I mean, you think about, say, Martinsville, and you have, say, 30 laps on a run, right? And you're up, say, you're sitting in the top 5, and it's, do I pit or don't I pit? Well, if I had 18 cars or 15 cars out there, I'm pitting, that's fine. But if I'm going back to 38th place with new tires, am I really going to pit? Do I want that carnage? Do I think I can come through the field? So it just opens up this risk evaluation. There's a lot going on, and do I want to be a part of it? Or I'm up here, I'm smooth sailing. Should I just stay? Should I just keep my old tires and just hang out? So
and not to mention a place like Martinsville, you go back to 38th. Guess who's on your rear bumper and 15, 20 laps there? The leaders.
Yeah, Josh Robinson is beating on my bumper and gonna lap me. So do I really want tires?
Yeah. I mean, and that's, I know for us, in the booth, Zach and I, when we're calling those races, it's so fun to talk and speculate, because that's really what we do. We speculate what could happen. Half the time that, probably 2/3 of the time we're wrong, but occasionally we get it right. But there are so many different scenarios with a field that big that can play out. From the undercutting, do you pit early? Do you pit late? If you pit at the wrong time, even if you have a flawless pit stop, if you run long, and those guys are eating into your time, knocking a second on, lap off, faster than you when the things cycle out. We've seen guys get way ahead. We've also seen guys end up way further down the line. So I'll tell you, that has been just a really, really cool thing to sit and speculate and gossip and all that kind of stuff on the broadcast. So, with you being, like I said, you're being locked in the playoffs in that. You've got a team. What's your team name?
Team's Last Ditch Racing.
Last Ditch Racing. Yep. So, who's all on that team?
Yep. So we have, you see some of them on Sundays, but we have guys who run across, all series. So I think we have about eight people on our team. So we got the 1, we got Greg McDaniel, we got the 2, Clay Walker, we got the 4, Dakota Pischke, we got myself, Brian Lindsay, everybody's favorite entertainment, Robert Garisco is on the team as well, and Eddie Jones in the 14. So I think I got everybody. I think I went through numerically, which makes it easy.
Well, my question then is, because you see this in the real world sometimes, is, helping a teammate lock themselves in the playoffs. You guys have any kind of strategies? You guys ever talk about that kind of stuff? If you're running 1 and let's say McDaniel's running 2, does your foot get light on the pedal just help a guy out, or is it straight up?
Yeah, I don't know. So there's been a few instances on like a plate track where if I'm pushing Greg or Clay or something like that, and we're in a line 1, 2, 3, and it's like, hey, you're locked in or I'm locked in, you're not. I'll just push you. I'm not gonna jump out and bite you at the end of the race. Eddie Jones will jump out and bite any of us at any time. There's no deals with him. That's just how he is. He's straight up with it. But
sounds like gambler guys. We all we'll slit each other's throat to win races. So
there you go. Yeah. So outside of that, not really. We basically, the only thing we're really talking about during the race is what you alluded to earlier is, should we pit now? Should we pit later? Do we want to stop there? Where should we stop? Should we go long? Should we go short? Things like that. Where is everybody? Who's coming and going? There's not a lot of contrary to maybe Tom Ogle's conspiracy theory, not a lot of really manipulation or worry about that. I don't think I'd pull over and let Brian Lindsay pass me to lock himself in the playoffs. Unless he's listening to this, of course I would, Brian.
Yep. Well, the reason why I was asking, not to so much put you on the spot, but one of the cool things about what iRacing allows you to do, and with the advent of Discord and things like that, you can do the team channels, and you can talk back and forth, and you can build strategies. And how much do you think? I don't want to say, I hate to use does it help, because obviously it helps at times. It can help, but explain that dynamic on the track, though. If you're struggling, getting feedback from somebody else, tell everybody the dynamics during the race in that team channel without giving away secrets.
Oh, you can have that. There's really no secret. I mean, so we run TeamSpeak on top of Discord, so my whole team is in TeamSpeak, so we can talk to each other on a nice, clear application. Throughout the race, we'll talk about just about anything. Usually somebody's struggling a little bit or can't find some speed. We'll share, like myself personally, it'll be, hey, I'm, going a little low here. A lot of, even in practice, we'll run around together talking about lines, how's it feel? What are you doing? How's your tire wear? Hey, are you using brake, etc.? Hey, where are you lifting? Are you lifting late? Are you lifting early? Are you lifting all the way? We'll talk about that throughout the race and try to build, none of, on last none of us are racing each other, right? So we're racing the field. We're making sure Tom Ogle and Josh Robinson and Team Miata aren't winning races. That's our priority. So we'll talk and make sure everybody's kind of getting to the same speed and has the same. I wouldn't keep, if I found some speed by braking into turn 3, I wouldn't keep that for my team. I'll share that with them. They'll try it. It might not work for them. I mean, it's really incredible, the racing dynamics and of your inputs and the way you race, how not everything works for everybody. Not everybody can find the speed, trail braking. Some people, not everybody can run a high line. It's really neat how not everything works for everybody, but we'll try and we'll share. And then throughout the race, we'll talk about, hey, when are you going to pit? And I think we should run long. And hey, these guys in the mirror are gone. Oh, even if you got somebody back in 9th or 10th or 15th and they say, hey, I just saw the leaders duck into the pits. So that kind of stuff really, really does help. And then, or a guy like Clay, who's always good late in a run, will be like, hey, I've been doing this and I'm catching all you clowns up there. And it's like, okay, well, maybe some of what you're doing, I need to incorporate. So those are good examples.
Yeah, that's such a cool aspect too. You mentioned, your Team Miata, which, obviously talking to you a little bit, there's a little bit of a friendly rivalry going on there. And that's the beauty of racing in leagues as opposed to the open. I know iRacing, they want you to run open, because that's their product line. But league racing is it's weird because I joined, and I've said this before in here. I joined iRacing way back when leagues were pretty much new, and everybody scoffed at the leagues because it was like, oh, every league has their core group of guys that they protect, and so nobody really liked running a league. But league racing now, I think, has actually supplanted the open servers. I mean, you're getting better racing in the leagues. You get the camaraderie. OBRL, even though you've got the friendly rivalry, talk about the camaraderie in this league, because I've talked to a few of you guys now, and it's almost like any family. You've got disagreements, here and there, but everybody really does seem to get on well in the league and are very proud of what you guys put on the track every Sunday.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I'll unpack some of what you said there. I mean, first of all, I'm spoiled. This is the only league I've been a part of. It's really my entire iRacing career has been in the OBRL. I mean, I learned how to race in this league, and I joined it right when I joined iRacing.
Wow.
So I got lucky. I've been here for however many races, 710 races, I think now, in 4 years. I really haven't gone anywhere else. I probably have 100 official starts. I've never really done anything. I've never run an open setup. I've never done anything other than run basically in the OBRL. So, and then, coming from, a real life racing background a little bit, when I was younger, and obviously other sports, this league seems to mirror almost exactly what it's like to go to the racetrack on a Saturday night, race against a bunch of guys, go to the fire at night, have a couple of drinks, help somebody fix his car, get up in the morning and go out there and again try to beat him after you helped him put a new transmission. Like that feeling in real life that we used to have feels the same here, where like even bitter rivals, as much as I joke around about Josh or Tom or, Team Miata, I can message them and be like, hey, what are you doing at this track? Or I'm doing this. And I mean, if you ask Tom Ogle a question about what he's doing at Bristol, I mean, you'll get 8,000 words and it'll be every secret he has, right? So, like that but then he's going to come out there and he's going to whoop you, he's going to whoop you with that information. He don't care. So, I mean, that dynamic in the OBRL is pretty special. We give each other a hard time. We got this Discord that's, probably not safe for work most days. We're all ripping on each other all day long and probably a little immature, but it's fantastic. And then, obviously with the structure of the OBRL, like there's no infighting on the track. There's no fighting on the driver's channel. In the race, when you're on the track, there is a strict set of guidelines that you're not calling people out. You're not yelling at them. If you want to, we have a wood shed after the race. If you want to go fight it out like you do in real life, go fight it out. But, I think that overall environment is just, I don't know how you can beat it. Like, I would not go race anywhere else.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate, like you, spoiled. I mean, I joined BRL, I don't know how many years ago, and it's, I'm still with them, and that's primarily, I've gone and looked at other leagues because I've wanted to drive different cars, maybe that, they don't necessarily provide. And, you have no idea what's out there. And, if you were to go and want to do something, not leave OBRL, I'm not trying to put that out there, but, let's say there's another car, you want to go drive an Indy car, you would probably just die trying to figure out, how many different, you would hop from IndyCar League to IndyCar League, probably before you found a good one. So.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, I did. I dabbled a little bit. I helped a startup league one time that was running 87s. I helped, kind of improve their car count for them. I knew the people that spawned off. Some of them were from the OBRL way back, and they were running 87s before us. So I went to kind of learn what it was like, and it was a different environment. Still some good guys, and it was a good time. It just wasn't the same.
yeah.
Nothing seemed the same.
Yep. Well, you talk about your OBRL history, and you have a lot there, across because we broadcast a Sunday night, but like you said, they've got a few more races throughout the week, and you've got, what'd you say, close to 700 starts.
Yeah.
So with that history you have there, what has been your favorite memory in the OBRL, the one that you can, always makes you smile and you think about, most often?
It's tough to pick one. Definitely last week at Charlotte, that race is standing out to me. That's pretty special. I've got some pretty bad memories.
That's a close memory or close
I've got.
finish.
Well, that one feels good because about 600 races ago, Josh Robinson at Myrtle in the truck with a broken truck that didn't even have a side on it. Somehow, I'd only had maybe 3 wins in the OBRO or something at the time. And somehow on a restart with no truck, he beat me and took a win away when I had newer tires, newer everything, but he was just better. And that hurt for like 3 years. So what I did to him last Sunday on the last lap felt really good. So I'm going to throw that up there, how good that felt. There's been a couple of big moments. I waited a long time to win a race in this league. I think 105 or 10 races or something, and I was in the top 10 and top 5 for probably 30 or 40 at the end. I was really kind of coming to the front, but I couldn't get a win. And then, breaking through and finally getting a win was a big deal in this league. I think Eddie Jones gave it to me. You want to talk about teammates? I think he gave me that win. He was beating down my bumper for about 35 laps. And I still feel like he could have beat me, but he'll never admit it. So that was big. Winning the first championship. Actually, I think it was an ARCA championship at Rockingham against Eddie Jones. That was a big deal. Eddie, was, I think, second all time in wins at the time. Kind of a legend in this league, right? Almost unbeatable, and take a championship from him in an ARCA car, which is an important car to both of us at Rockingham. That was pretty special as well. So those are some of the bigger moments that stick out for me for sure.
One of the things which is a hallmark of OBRL races, at least the ones that we've broadcasted, that I've seen and watched, you guys have some of the cleanest racing, no matter how big of a field. And you touched on, the stringent, guidelines and all that the box that you guys have to race in. What do you think contributes most to that throughout the field? Because, usually even in the back of most fields, when you get 40 guys, you inevitably have squirrels in the back. Now, you guys have some guys that get a little squirrely from time to time in the back, probably. Maybe I haven't really seen it, to be honest with you. So what do you think really does contribute to that? Because, I think there's a lot of talent there.
Yep. Yeah, there's a couple of things. I've never really tried to put it in a bottle, but first and foremost, this league has always been built on racecraft. Racecraft and camaraderie are kind of the hallmarks of this league. We have different skill levels as far as, steering wheel and throttle input throughout the field. It's not that wide. A lot of times newer people, it's a little bit wider, but realistically, it's not that wide. But I think that what the most important part in this league is what's between the ears of everybody on the track. So wherever your skill level is compared to the guy beside you, the priority in this league is not to ruin another person's night. Come out, do whatever you feel you need to do to have enjoyment for yourself, but a priority for the people that lead this league, for the people that have had, the John Hastings of the league that have 750 starts or whatever it is, and the Lee Worsdells that come every night. Nobody wants to ruin another person's night. Looking cool or making a big pass and wrecking a guy is not cool in the OBRL. If you can't do it clean, you're expected to not do it. So either don't do it or do it clean. Don't hit another car. Don't bounce off the wall and take out the field. Those are the expectations that the senior people in the league and the people that have been here for over a decade, like John. Those are the expectations that everybody has in this league, and everybody that's in the league understands those and accepts those. So I think that's kind of where it's built from. And then again, we have a collection of really good drivers that are really good. They're really good, talented drivers. So you give them that mindset on top of being really good at what they do. I think that helps.
Yeah, there are you can see it just pace wise, the difference throughout the league and whatnot. But, like you said, though, the racecraft end of it, everybody in that league from top to bottom, that racecraft, I think, is actually the key, because you don't really see too many knuckleheaded moves. You just don't. I mean, in the back, in the middle, in the front, you don't see it. But having said that, you still see really, really hard racing, and that's what's been the most enjoyable from a fan. Never mind that I broadcast them, but from a fan, I'm a fan of what you guys do. It's great to watch. Yeah. And I could go on and on and on about that, but I was just kind of curious if you recognize the dynamic out on the track and what it is, because that secret sauce that you guys got going, it shows up, in Spain.
It's neat. Like when you're out on a practice session, like I've been in some official races and everybody's out there running, trying to get to the top of the little leaderboard for the race.
I call it an ego sheet. The practice is always the ego sheet.
Yeah. Ain't nobody in this league care. Like nobody care. Like that's a neat story. You're up there. Maybe you came out early in the race. Maybe you haven't worked on it. I mean, the trendy thing in the OBRL to do in a practice is to come out and run until you're out of fuel and see what your tires were like and work on a long run strat. Like, I mean, that's what people are coming out to do. You have to. So that's what's cool. Like, that's what's impressive to me when you see somebody late in a run, like Clay Walker coming through the field because he saved his stuff. Or, you look back and you see Josh Robinson fading, and you know that it's not because he's not good or not fast. Because he's smarter than the rest of us, and he's figured out that if he takes it easy, he's going to come through the field. Or, that's what's impressive in this league. It's not how fast can you turn the wheel 90 degrees and not lift. I mean, that's not cool. That's not racecraft. And I think that culture in the OBRL exists. Don't get me wrong; it's still cool to go fast. It's still cool to hang it up, make a big save, or chuck it in there or rip the wall. Like those things are still cool, but like. I think collectively as a group recognize, where the skill and where the real talent comes from.
Well, you talk about, the practice part of that, do a fuel run, look at tires, all that. So how do you prepare? I know we kind of touched on a little bit when I asked you earlier about, what are you doing different, but tonight, everybody knows that we record this, but tonight you guys are going to Nashville. Yep. And so tell me how you're going to get ready for Nashville. What is do you have a checklist of things that you like to do during that 1 hour practice, or what do you do?
Yeah, I'll probably do the exact same thing that I do for every race. So I'm going to have a drink. I'll have one drink. I'll go downstairs. I'll hop into practice. I'll go out and immediately I'll run really, really hard and almost wreck the car for 2 laps, and then I'll settle into a long tire run and I'll run the entire tank of fuel. I'll search around, I'll plan some other lines, but I'll try to just run kind of like what I feel, like what the car is telling me it wants to do. I won't listen to myself or my team or what anybody or a track guide or what anybody thinks is the cool thing to do or watching other people. Just what I think the car is telling me, I'll run it until I'm out of fuel. I'll come in. I'll check my lap times and see kind of like, hey, on lap 30, was I the same as Tom Ogle or something, right? Like, was I in the ballpark? Am I way off? Am I 3/10 slower? Am I what? And then I'll look at my tire wear and all I'm looking for is my right to my left even? Is my front to my back even? And once I've seen that, it's like, hey, I can, if I'm using brake, I can exploit the rear, I can exploit the front. Hey, I'm not using any rear. Let's try to burn that up. I'm not using any right front. I can, so I'll just kind of make that note. Then I'll go out and I'll run like kind of a half stint because we start running out of time. I'll run a half stint, bring in, see if like maybe my balance has trended at all. And then, usually in the last 10 minutes, I got to start thinking about, hey, I need a bio brake and then I also need to probably try to work on a qualifying lap so that I'm not starting 40th, because that's a lot of cars. And then
It is a lot of cars.
so that's kind of like my approach. The only thing I'm really worried about when it comes to a race, I'm not going down logging in like I gotta win, I have to win. Yeah, I don't want Team Miata to win. That's a given. But outside of that, I want to go out there. I'm a long time member. I'm a senior member of this league. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to try to race and race my way, race the right way, lead by example. Show people that you can win races in this league by not racing like a jerk, by not rubbing other people. You don't have to side draft on lap 7. You can lift. You can let people pass you. You can do all these things and still win races. And just help build that culture in this league that, hey, racecraft wins in this league. Going fast, turning left, and closing your eyes doesn't, right? So that's kind of my approach going into the race. Again, halfway through, somebody goes by me and I'm like, I'm going to get them, or I'm going to get you later, and then get a little more racy. But that's my approach going into a race.
That's kind of cool here. So, what I heard and all that is if right before we go qualifying, if I see your name towards the top of the ego sheet, the field's probably in a little bit of trouble because you're actually kind of playing around and looking at stuff. I mean, you probably, you laugh, but I mean, that's usually when I go out. I actually have a checklist in my mind when I go out. I want to check tire wear. Try the different lines, what does the car do here? And I know it probably irritates guys in leagues that I run. I'll slow down and let somebody get to my inside and try running side by side for a few laps so I can feel kind of race. What is the outside doing? Can I get an advantage out there? Is it not an advantage out there? I'm not trying to race them, but, all those things. And very rarely am I up on that list. And usually if at the end of whatever all I'm doing and I see myself like in the top 5 or 6, I'm like, this might be a good night maybe. Right. That's usually what I gauge it on. But that's always fascinating what guys do with that hour practice session, because you can get a lot of data and a lot of knowledge of what you can do in your race in that time if you use it wisely. If you're just going out busting 3 laps trying to get to the top of that ego sheet, pulling it in, getting reset, going back out, trying to bust more laps, trying to work up that sheet. It cracks me up when guys do that, because it's like, man, you are wasting so much time.
Yeah.
And those guys, yes, do they a lot of times qualify well, but by lap 10, I'm watching them fall back. They're like a moving chicane as they fall back through the field.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the data that you find out running by yourself out there too, like, there's not a lot of good information. I mean, everybody's got a 10 lap newer, 10 lap older, 30 lap older, 30 lap newer tires. So it's hard to race with somebody unless you go out with a teammate and be like, hey, let's run side by side, things like that. And then the track cools, the track changes, it rubbers in. There's more dirty air. You're in a thicker pack. Realistically, it's a lot of the reason that throughout the week I don't spend a lot of time running laps at a track, because as soon as the green flag falls, everything changes. So the air is different, the track temperature is different, the rubber on the track is different. I mean, the people around you are now around you and trying to get by you instead of just moving over to let you go. So, at the end of the day, the race starts when the race starts, and then that's when you need to start building the information. And in order to win or be in the top 10 or, to have a good race in the OBRL, how fast you run has almost nothing to do with it. It's entirely your racecraft, your pit stops, no mistakes. I mean, you touch the wall and get a little dent on your right fender, especially in some of these cars, like the Xfinity car specifically. You get a little scratch on your car, you're done. Like you can't. The skill gap isn't great, and we're in fixed setups. We're all in the same car. You give yourself a disadvantage in this league, you lose. So. You spend more time worrying about, taking care of your stuff, making sure you have it, and then like, when should I pit and what pace should I run? How hard can I charge? And does it make sense to use up a little bit of tire to get by this guy, or should I just hang out for a little while? Like those are the types of decisions that kind of get you towards the front in this league.
Yeah. Sunday night, you guys, everything I base off is because that's what I see and whatnot. So, the toughest part, what do you think the toughest part of racing on Sunday nights is? Because the reason I ask that is because, You can make your plan at the beginning of the race, but I'll tell you what, I've raced thousands of races, and I'm going to tell you the plan, my preconceived plan before a race,
Yep.
I don't think I mean, maybe once and twice, maybe has followed through. But you guys can't plan for anything because you guys can get no cautions in a race. You guys could get one. You never know how. So figuring out what you're doing when you're doing it is all, to me, at least from the eye, is very difficult to kind of to try to figure out what's it like behind the seat, actually having to do all that and think, okay, where do I gamble? Do I pit early? Do I pit late? What is the hardest part about Sunday?
Yeah, you nailed it. The entire race is stressful and unknown, and it's like staring at the world's greatest math equation, and not understanding math. It's until you get done your final pit stop and you get on your final stint, and you can just stop thinking about when I'm gonna pit, how I'm gonna pit, how many times I'm gonna pit, who pitted. It is. It's terrible. I mean, thank God, we can all drive cars on top of it and we're not hitting the walls because we're just maybe 67. Well, if I go on 67 and I come, there's cars up there, and I might come out and I'm going to be in traffic. Good Lord. And that
because we don't have crew chiefs to figure that stuff out and just say box now, box. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And there, you don't have that. Someone doing, burning up the calculator. Okay, we can go to here, do this, do that. Yeah, we need someone smart telling us what to do.
There's some guys in this league who are really good at that part of racing. And the unfortunate part for us is they're actually really good at the driving part of it too. And they just seem to have it. There's I don't know how often you see him or how often he's out. There's his name's Andrew Hess. He's in the 54. I used to joke that I just pit when Andrew pits because he always seems to know the right lap exactly when to pit, right? So there's some guys that just got it figured. There's guys that always run long. Like the 23 typically runs longer than all of us. Usually I'm kind of right around half, then usually Tom's right there, that kind of group. There's about 5 or 6 guys, and then there's Josh. He stays out forever, and then here he comes late, and he's working through the field, and he's got and we stress out over it. Is that going to work today, or is that not going to work today? Do I want to put it? There's no magic answer except for probably experience, and so we're going
but even that is limited because of that caution. You don't know. You may not see a caution. You might see a caution. So all the experience in the world goes right out the window as soon as that green flag flies.
Yeah, I'd say it's the biggest variable we have. You just don't know. You can't just win and it's in real life too. You can't just win a race by being the best racer, right?
Yeah, which is funny you say that because that's the most stressful thing for you guys. But it's the most fun for us up in the booth to talk. That's my favorite part. It's okay, hey, if he does this, doesn't do that, there are so many things, and now we're not in the seat in real time. Okay, I don't know how far I can look at a stopwatch and see, okay, they fall in a second and a half off, but that doesn't tell the whole story because everybody has, how does your car feel? We don't have that luxury. And I think that's funny. That's the most stressful thing for you guys, but man, that's the most fun for us. It's not even close. You touched on the real world too versus the sim. As somebody that's got real world experience, you've run some, I believe, some hobby stock, street stock kind of cars. Mm-hmm. Tell me from your viewpoint, because as somebody who's driven myself, that's a question I get asked a lot, and I like to ask guys that have got both. Compare the two. What do you think? How close did iRacing get to it?
Oh, it's there. A lot of my racing experience, I'm not sure I was mature enough to really understand what I was trying to do out there. I think I was an official racer, like a guy in a 35 lap shootout in the Carburetor Cup. I was just going. I was just sitting it. I was in my my father's car. I wasn't paying the bills. And I was just a driver, and I was overzealous, and I don't think I had any racecraft. I just had go in me. But certainly iRacing, I have driven since. I've been, but the majority of it when I was younger. But iRacing's there. I actually find it to be more challenging than it is to race a real race car. Some of that seat of the pants and natural inertia and things like that, you can't quite get. It doesn't matter how many haptic motors I've got or wind simulator or, all of that stuff to try to give me the feedback that I'm in a car and I feel like I'm in a car. I've convinced myself I'm in a car, but it's not all there. You don't have all the smells. You can't smell your brakes. You don't have all the information to drive. And I know that, in a real car, I could save something or control it, just a little bit better than I could with my eyes and ears in sim racing. But outside of that, I mean, the balance and the car balance and the grip levels and things like that, like the way that it interacts with your throttle and your brake inputs and your steering, and I find it all to be so realistic. A lot, they struggle with the tire model. I feel like you can manipulate the tire model in ways that maybe you can't in real life. I think maybe you can cool your tires down a little bit easier, or some of the pacing and the payback for running slower is not as realistic as maybe real life is. But I think in real life you can push a little bit more and not really lay back. I think you have to fight for your track position a little more. But I find iRacing to be incredibly accurate and much more challenging than driving a real race car.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about that the other day, and I said, the one thing iRacing should do is put a random noise with their engine, because, in real life, sometimes the engine will you'll come out of the corner and, you expect to hear a certain tone at the top, but sometimes between when you're coming out in that top RPM, that nice song that your engine will play or your car will play, you'll hear a noise. And then you spend 3 laps. What was that?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if a puff of smoke could come out, or you hit the brakes and they don't respond, or something, or it hesitates under throttle. All these things that happen in real life. It would be really neat if it was in. I mean, it'd be a shame if the algorithm didn't like you and you seem to always get the hesitation. But all these things that happen in real life that you have to react to, it would be quite interesting. It would make it quite interesting.
Well, let's talk a little bit here about your World Road Racing that you talked about, since we've touched on it now a few times. Tell me, what exactly were you driving, and what tracks were you driving at?
Yeah, so primarily at the Terrace Speedway in northern British Columbia here in Canada. It was advertised, I think, as a 3/8, but I think it was 3/8 around the outside. Paved oval, high bank oval. I think I sent you a photo of it. It's actually kind of shaped like Darlington. One end was a little tighter than the other end, but then banked pretty heavily. I forget what the banking was on it. So I grew up racing that. So I think when I was 14 or something, somewhere around there, before I could drive legally on the streets, I think my dad had built a car. We caught the bug. That was in the early 90s. So my dad built a car, went out racing. So I was out there being his pit crew and cheerleader. And then, I wanted to drive the car. So he let me drive the car. And then turns out we needed another car. So we built another car. That was, we had A and B drivers so we could share a car. But then we were on. So that's where Last Ditch Racing started, by the way. That's the team we were on. At the height of it, I think we had 7 or 8 cars throughout street stock and hobby stock sportsmen. Kind of just before the 4-cylinder world took over. We were kind of running the big V8s, and then the 4-cylinders started showing up, and kind of the life of a small track changed. But so we had 7 or 8 cars on that Last Ditch Racing team. Ran there a couple for basically until I moved away. Until I was my teenage years were over and I moved away. And then I kind of went back here and there for a couple of races. Went to a couple of different tracks with my dad. He'd say, "Hey, we're going to Prince George or something. Why don't you fly in and come drive the car?" Things like that. A little bit spoiled. Dad always built a car. I think mom always said, "Hey, let Dwayne drive." So he would just let me drive.
Your mom said that?
Oh, I'm
wow.
sure.
Wow.
I'm a bit of a mama's boy, so I'm sure she said, "Hey, you better let that."
Yeah, well, that's all the more reason why maybe not. I don't want my boy out there. I'm sure she's seen cars, knock down walls and get upside down and all these things.
I'll tell you what. I mean, I was living the great life, you know, as a young man, and getting to drive these race cars, and they were fantastic. Like, we had the best equipment at these tracks. Like, we had good cars. We were winning championships. We were winning races. We were like bullies in town. Like, we won all the time. And I was out there. I think I was running first or second for the championship. It was a big year. Won a bunch of races and having a great year. And somebody in the pits told my dad, he said, you know, you should just retire and build cars for him. And that was the last day I drove. My dad said, build your own car. And that was the last day I drove any of my dad's cars. So I forget the fellow's name that said that, but thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll not have a Christmas card coming from you.
No.
So, you know, it's cool. I hear you talk about your dad, and you know, I'm gonna assume that's probably how you actually got into racing, just all together. So, do you remember the first time you went to a racetrack and you were like, "Holy crap!" Okay, this. So, do you remember?
Yeah. So, like, this is gonna be like late '80s. I wasn't a big race fan. My dad wasn't a big race fan, but my dad's like best friend was an enormous race fan. Like, I mean, like for his entire life, he was a Dale Earnhardt. He was drive his Camaro to Talladega every year in the '80s to the race. His name's Richard Meyer. He's still racing, I believe, Legends right now. So he was a big fan, and he'd come over on Sunday and put the race on, and then come over next Sunday, put the race on, and then over time, we're like, wow. And then there's this black number 3 driving around, smashing people and rattling their cage. And we're like, yeah, I mean, we're rednecks. Like, I like this. Like, I'm into this. So then we caught the bug, and like, just bad. And then, so after a couple of years of them watching NASCAR on Sundays, they decided they were just going to build a hit to pass car. Right, they were going to go to do a hit to pass and demo derby. They built like this big boat with concrete in the doors and just a T-bar. And I guess what happened was, we all went out there. We're just going to smash this car. We're not racers. We're not nothing. Well, they let them race the cars earlier in the day before they were going to smash them up. And oh boy, did we have fun. Like, I mean, my old man and Richard were out there just racing. I'm in the pits, and like, I think my mom and all of all the wives and brothers and sisters and cousins were all out here, and we're like, oh wow, like this is life. This is what we want to do. So essentially from that point forward, for the next whatever it was 10 years, if it was Saturday or Sunday, we were at the track. Right, we were racing something, we were camping overnight. Awesome. We were doing cars. It was like we got the bug. I'm pretty sure my dad couldn't work on a lawnmower before that happened, and now he could build you a race car, in 2 days with like no tools, right? So it was quite a progression in our lives, and it changed who we were.
Yeah, that is an awesome story. I really like that. And you guys, it's kind of cool that you caught the bug together, because usually, when we talk to folks, it's kind of like, yeah, my dad took me to the track, or a neighbor, or wherever. And, and you're a little bit later in life too, which is unusual. Usually folks that I talk to, it's, early, 10-year-old, early teens or something like that. And maybe you were early teens.
I was early teens. And my father was probably in his late 20s or 30s. So we're not far apart in age. So, it was a little bit later for him for sure. It was probably right in the sweet spot for me. It was probably right where it needed to be.
So you watching the black 3 car, rattle cages and all that. So I take it that was probably your first driver. It's like, okay. Yeah. This is who I'm rooting for. So Dale was the guy, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you see my car number, right? It's the 83.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 8 and 3. That's junior and senior. So
okay. Yeah. I see that. Very good. Very cool. Every time I see your car, I go to Bass Pro. The Bass Pro. So, for those that you don't know, I am employed by Bass Pro, and I get to travel around and go to a lot of different Bass Pros. So that's a neat thing about what I do. But yeah, every time I see your car, and it's hard. And I'm supposed to be biased in the booth, and I don't know if I'm necessarily. And don't get me, don't get offended when I say this. I haven't figured out if I'm rooting for you yet, or if I'm rooting for Bass
Oh,
Pro
the
Car to
car?
win. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's. I'm gonna say it's 50-50 maybe. But yeah, that's a cool paint scheme you have in the 8 and 3. That's a cool story behind it. Um, you know, you talked about how you got into. Did you? How long did you go from watching the stuff that you saw? Then you guys decided you were going to build a car. But before you built a car, did you guys ever venture out to like your local tracks or anything like that, or was the first time at your local track with a race car?
Yeah, well, no, I think my father and Richard had gone a few times, and I think we went a few times, but it was like I don't know how many times they had gone, but almost my first memory was when we built that hit the fast car. I mean, that's pretty much my first track memory is going out there for that in the big blue. I mean, they were blue and yellow painted like the Wrangler, like Dale's Wrangler car. It was just like, it was almost like a big joke. We're gonna go smash up this car, right? I think we had bullhorns on the front. Like we're gonna go smash this car up and just be idiots. And then it was like, or we could race, like, or we could actually like, okay, well that was fun. Let's build a car. So then like, every night or every weekend for the next however many months, like they were in the tiny garage my dad had, welding roll cages and ripping apart Novas and building these street stocks. And like, I mean, back then in the 90s, nobody cared about these Novas, but now like those were like $50,000 cars we were welding together. Like like everybody would really like to have those still.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just kind of took off, and that's how I remember too. And of course, I'm a teenager, so like it was a whirlwind. I was, out doing whatever else I was doing, being a troublemaker or whatever, and then come home to race. And so it happened a lot faster in my mind, and I'm sure it was long nights for them building those cars.
Well, we call racing a hobby. I mean, it's more of a. I think it's a. I know, cheesy to say this, but I think it's a lifestyle choice. Actually, if you want to really get into racing and all that kind of stuff, because like you said, it actually changes who you are. I mean, I'm a big fan of the NFL, but I don't think, culturally speaking, I do a whole lot that would associate where someone could walk around and say, "Yep, there's an NFL fan."
Yeah.
Race fans, and I really don't mean this in a negative way. I just don't. But it's funny, you can talk to somebody and you can pick up on it almost immediately, and you almost get an immediate connection. If I talk to somebody else that might be a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I'm not a big Chiefs fan, we could talk a few things. Okay, we got a common interest. Race fans will go, you'll say you're a Dale Earnhardt fan. Chances are, you're gonna, whoever you're telling that to either loves Dale or they hated Dale.
Yeah.
And the conversations can go either way at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So and you see that through the years, AJ to Tony, and to even nowadays, Carson Hocevar or Ross Chastain. You've got those figures like that, and it's funny that those people that move the needle binds a lot of people. But like I said, it becomes more of a way of life. It's you do a lot of things in your own life that involves that. I don't do a whole lot of things that involve the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it boils down to, I guess.
I think that's what is beautiful about iRacing. So, for me specifically, I raced when I was younger, and then I moved away and I started a family very young, and relocated a bunch of times and was building a career and going through whatever it was, building a life, right? So my wife and I, basically sacrificing anything we could because we had kids and, we had things to do. So racing wasn't something that was an option for me anymore. Like I couldn't afford to build a car. There was nobody calling to pay me to drive a car up here in the middle of nowhere, Canada. That doesn't happen up here. So, I didn't have family money to build a car, or, I didn't even live with, I was probably 50 hours drive away from my parents at that point, right? So I was gone. So, realistically, when COVID hit, I was kind of at the point in life where I could start building a car again, and it's something my father was actually out here on vacation. We were talking, hey, let's do it. Let's build a dirt car. Let's do this again. And then COVID came. They shut down the track, and it was like, he had built me up. Like we had decided we were going back, right? Like we had decided I'm at the point in my life I could pay for something, right? I could build my own car. And now there was no racing. And that's literally how I found iRacing. Was I was so disappointed because we were going to go racing and they closed the track. And a friend of mine was on Facebook and he just posted a screenshot of him winning an NIS race or something. I'm like, what is this? I didn't even know what iRacing was. Like, what is this? And within 3 days, I had a Logitech G93 or whatever it was hooked to my kid's computer upstairs and I was racing. And
nice. Is your dad racing?
No, he doesn't race. No,
in iRacing. Have you gotten into iRacing?
No, I will tell you though, him and Richard and actually Andre Rash, so the three of them, my uncle, I call him my Uncle Andre, had a computer in the 90s. He was like one of the first guys with a computer, and they were papyrus racing in the 90s. I was a kid. I wasn't even doing. I know they were papyrus, which is turns into iRacing or whatever it is. Yeah. They were doing it back then. They had the wheel and the pedal, and I doubt it had force feedback at the time. And I know they were doing that and hanging out and racing, and I wasn't doing it back then. But I don't think he's. I tried about a couple years ago. I put him in my rig. Unfortunately, I'm in VR. VR was not for him. It didn't go well with him.
I love VR.
Yeah. So I'd like to set up maybe some triples and give him a shot at it. I think he'd have a good time.
I think so too. Well, we're talking about hobbies, and racing's kind of a hobby and all that kind of stuff. You got some other really cool hobbies, including a real nice bike that I saw of yours. Tell me about some of the other things that you just kind of enjoy doing, just when you're not working or iRacing.
Yeah. So I mean, realistically, right now the sun's out. It's summertime, so wife and I spend a lot of time on the bike, either just myself or the both of us. I think most of this weekend we've been out on the bike. I have a 2005 Roadstar, Midnight Silverado. It's a real nice bike, big cruiser, really comfortable to ride for two. It's powerful. It does everything you need to do. It's a little bit nostalgic too. It's pretty old. So we ride that anywhere we can. That's a big part of what we do. We have a little bit of land here that takes some of our time, obviously, a couple acres of grass to mow and things to take care of out here. I spend most of my time, most of my free time is something to do with a car, something lingering and left over from this racing life that I live. Working on some of the vehicles, fixing something that my kids broke on a car, customizing one of the vehicles I own, trying to do something. I have a 68 Chevy pickup that is half restored right now, trying to get that finished. My son's got a car that needs to be finished off here as well, but pretty much just trying to turn in wrenches, hanging out there. Wife and I have season tickets. Actually, the whole family does. We to basketball, actually, believe it or not. Canada has a professional basketball league, so we got season tickets there. So
nice.
We go there. Yeah, it's quite, growing up a hockey fan and, being a little narrow-minded and hockey, and only hockey's good. Really surprised at how entertaining basketball can be.
When you talk like that, I just go, God, he's so Canadian.
Yeah, it's all hockey and nothing but hockey. Yeah. And I mean, basketball was invented in Canada. You think we'd be more appreciative of it. But yeah, a couple years in, we have a good time. So we do that, and then, try to travel as much as we can. Some years we do better than others, obviously with priorities, but we're moving into the stage of life where we have a little more means and a little more time, and the kids are grown, they're in their 20s, so they're in school and working and things like that. So
how long have you and your wife been married?
Long time. This in 5 days, it's like 25 years, something like that.
Well, happy anniversary.
Yeah. So well, we've been together since 2000. So yeah, and then we got married in 2004 after both our kids were born. So
that's when Renata and I got married, was 2004.
Oh, there you go. So yeah,
good year.
We were kids when we met. We're 44, so we met when we were 20 or 19 or 20. So it's basically our entire adult life. Yeah, so we grew up together.
That's actually probably even a cooler story than the racing going on with your dad. That's pretty cool. Well, congratulations, happy anniversary. What is your wife's name?
My wife's name's Ricky.
Ricky, happy anniversary. So if she make her watch this here, and then we'll get the happy anniversary to her.
Yeah.
Well, Dwayne, it's been really fun talking to you, and I'm going to start wrapping the show down. And one of the things I like to do is just a real quick green-white checker, kind of just a quick thought,
Sure.
passing thought kind of thing here. So, we kind of touched on it here. The first thing here, what I was going to ask you is, because you're Canadian, I was going to say, hockey fan or racing fan? Which one are you more of?
I can't call it. Racing's in my. They're so deep.
Be careful. You might have a citizenship on the line here if you go the wrong way on that.
They run deep. I mean, they run deep. I played hockey.
Well,
I still play hockey. I can't call
but
that.
you guys have the Villeneuves and everything. I mean, there's a big racing history up in Canada. A lot of very top-notch drivers have come up out of the Canadian region there.
Yeah, nobody up here knows.
And
Yeah. Racing's not a hot topic up here. If you're kind of like, oh, you like racing?
Okay.
So I'd have to say I can't call that one.
Can't call.
No.
Just out of curiosity, is Winnipeg your favorite hockey team, or who's your favorite hockey team? I don't think Winnipeg still have a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. That's what I thought. Yeah.
I moved around a little bit. I grew up, so I'll give you a short and brief, but I grew up a Flyers fan, which is weird in Canada. I cheer for typically the team in the city I live in, so I've cheered for the Flames and the Jets in the past. But realistically, I don't really have a favorite team right now. The only thing I care about is that the Toronto Maple Leafs don't win the Cup.
There you go. You just made the city of Toronto turn the show off.
Sorry.
All right. Well, the next one here is real world versus the sim. What do you think you've had the most fun in so far?
Yeah.
Racing, that is.
Yeah. It's so crazy. It's so crazy that this is true, but it's in the sim. Like the OBRL. I think if I was racing right now, it would be closer, but because I don't think I fully appreciated what I was doing when I was doing it. The point in my life I'm at, I'm having so much fun in the sim and in this league specifically. So I'd go sim.
All right, and then the last one here, and I'm gonna really put you on the spot. I'm gonna make you play a little Babe Ruth here. Is this the season you get your first championship here on Sunday night?
First full-length cup championship? I do have a cup championship.
Full-length cup championship.
Yeah, no. I'm terrible
Wow.
at Phoenix. I'm terrible.
You got a lot of time to practice. You got a heck of a lot of time to practice.
I'm confident I could be in the top 5 at Phoenix. I can't.
Well, that's putting yourself in a place to win. So
yeah, but there's certain guys I can't seem to beat unless something goes my way. Like on a long run, I can't seem to get the pace right. My long run, I think I underdrive Phoenix. I can't figure it out. So one lap, it's a one race.
Well, good news. You got 5 months to figure that out, man.
The last year of the Gen 6, I thought I was going to win that championship. I was in a good spot, and there was a guy in our league. I don't want to call anybody out, but there's a guy in our league that took out 3 of the top 4 in one corner, which was himself, myself, and my teammate. And then the 23 got a free championship. And that was kind of the last time I was close, because then we went to the Gen 7. And the Gen 7 and Phoenix. I've won some Phoenix races, don't get me wrong. I'm not confident in the Gen 7 that whoever's in, if I were to make it to the Final 4, that I can outdo all of them at that track. So, but if this, if a certain guy is not on the track, maybe I'll get to finish the race and give it a shot. So.
Well, I tell you what, stand up just a little bit, because we can only see Ogle on the thing, but yep, there you go. And not to call anybody up, but what a cool shirt. I need to get one of those. So maybe have to see if he's got a website, but
he certainly does. Yeah.
It's and see, that's what makes it such a good league. You guys can cut up and laugh and have a good time about stuff. So that's pretty cool stuff there. Well, the next time we're going to see on the track, obviously, everybody knows we're going to pre-record this Nashville tonight. But then by the time this airs, we're going to be looking at Michigan. So tell me about what do you think about Michigan? What's your history like there?
Yeah, pretty good. I like Michigan. Out of the 2 miles, like the Auto Club in Michigan, like I like those tracks. As long as it's not draft dependent and as long as there's a little bit of tire wear. Michigan tends to open up some extra lanes, not as much as Auto Club, but there's some things you can do there to kind of break away. If you get some longer runs, you can get some separation. It's not such a draft. I think Michigan will be a good show. I have a feeling that we're going to be able to move up the track in 1 and 2. Just kind of the way the tire model's been feeling, like we were able to move up more often than I thought lately. So that's been available. I think Michigan will be good. Tonight will be interesting. I know this will be coming out after, so I can maybe try to be
prognosticator.
I think the 23 wins tonight. I just really do.
Well, I hope the Bass Pro car is up front there, at least fighting for it though. That's all I ask.
I'd love to.
Do me a favor, get that Bass Pro car up there.
I'll get you some TV time, but like I know the 23 is good here. The 11's also.
And it's a concrete surface. Just real quick before we go, it's a concrete surface tonight, and that's one of the cool things about how you guys are doing and following that. You guys do get the different challenges. How different is concrete? Tire wear and everything else, race, everything, pace. How different is the concrete from the asphalt?
Very different. You get penalized in different ways. Like sliding the tire seems to really affect it differently. Your grip level, especially on in the back of the car, like you can really light up those and roast that right rear. The concrete kid in our league, Ogle, is fantastic on concrete. I like it. I like concrete overall. I like Nashville overall. I don't think we're going to get to run up at all. I think we're going to be down at the bottom, and I hope it's not too boring. We might be stuck at the bottom of the track because in this Gen 7 because it's not a great race car, but I think it'll be an interesting race. I really do think that the 23 is going to he's only got one win. That's not Josh.
My only advice for you is be careful getting on the pit road there. That is a hard track to get to pit road.
Yeah, and I think too, for you tonight, I think you can expect pit strategy and timing of the pit to really play in. I really think that the overcut is going to show up. I think if somebody stays out 5 or 10 laps and then pits, they're going to, and then the cautions fall right, it goes green, I think that person is going to be in a very big advantage. And then track position is going, the guys at short pit are going to get a nice advantage short, and if we get cautions afterwards, it'll help them. But I think the overcut's going to win the race, and I think I know who's going to win the race.
All right, man. Well, I enjoyed talking to you today. I cannot wait to bring you back at some point. But yeah, thank you. And again, happy anniversary. And I do want to say to you, your family, everybody up there, up in Canada, I know a lot of people may not know this, but you guys are battling some very serious wildfires. You told me they're not too far away from where you are, but I do hope you guys all stay safe, your family stays safe, your community stays safe.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that.
Yep. And that's going to wrap it up this week for VGN Weekly. Again, I am your host, John Hine, and I look forward to seeing you again right here next week.
Coming up on the Virtual Grip Network, tonight, June 3rd, catch flag-to-flag coverage of Yesteryear Racing's 1966 Tour Modified Series, live from South Boston Speedway at 8:30 p.m. The RLR Skidder Creek SK Modified Series will be live from Martinsville Speedway on Thursday, June 5th at 8 p.m. The BRL Modifieds and Late Models from South Boston Speedway will air on Saturday, June 7th at 7:45 p.m. The OBRL Yesteryear Cup Series goes live at 8 p.m. from Michigan International Speedway on Sunday, June 8th. Maximum Velocity Racing League's ARCA Series will be live from Martinsville Speedway on Monday, June 9th at 9:30 p.m. And catch the next episode of VGN Weekly at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, June 10th, all times Eastern. You can see our full schedule and more at virtualgrip.net.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of VGN Weekly. Join us next time for race recaps, interviews, and much, much more. Please like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our broadcasts. If you are a league owner or potential sponsor and have a broadcasting need, please visit virtualgrip.net for info on how to get in touch with us. This has been a production of the Virtual Grip Network and the Skidder Creek Motorsports Group.